up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, presented by CW Motorsports, episode 71. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And you may notice we've got different backgrounds behind us. We both have headsets on, and you may even notice a small delay between us talking. That's because currently I'm in Africa.
Like the big country.
Yes, I'm actually specifically in Dar es Salaam, which is the capital of Tanzania, which is on the East Coast. And that is about 8 hours, actually it's exactly 8 hours ahead of you in the Eastern time zone.
Yes, it is. So you had a long travel to get there, right? That's what you told me anyway.
Yeah, it was about 26 hours of travel between actual plane rides and layovers. So I flew from Indy to Atlanta. I think I had a hour and a half layover there, and then I flew from Atlanta to Amsterdam. I had about a 2 hour and change layover there, and then from Amsterdam flew to Kilimanjaro, and had a layover that I stayed on the plane because the same plane was going to Dar es Salaam, but I wasn't supposed to get off, so I was standing there while they were picking up trash and cleaning bathrooms and stuff because they didn't want me to get off the plane. And then I finally had the last flight. It was like 30 minutes. It was a short hop over to Dar. And I got here at basically midnight local time, a little before, and then had to get, negotiate to get a cab ride over to the hotel, and ended up, by the time everything was said and done, I was in my hotel room at 1 a.m. in a city that I have not even come close to being in before, and had no idea what was going on. And the worst part is normally you get somewhere, at least on the drive to the hotel, you get your bearings. I didn't have any of that luxury because I came in at night. So I'm going down roads that I have no idea. Traffic signals only exist like once every couple miles. They're not every block. Probably about 30 to 40% of the street lights were out, so the streets were just dark. So I had literally zero idea where I was in a totally foreign country. So it's been a trip, but now that I've gotten acclimated to it, everything's going pretty well.
Yeah, that's good. It's an adventure. Take it as an adventure, if nothing else.
Exactly. Well, I'm eating new food. Like, I'm trying the local stuff. I mean, I don't want to come across the world and just eat McDonald's. Going to the local markets, and if you watch something in Hollywood about, like an African town, it's about 50% true. I'll put it that way.
So do they eat monkey brains?
I have not had any monkey brains yet, but everything is very fresh here. In the United States, we're kind of used to being removed from the food source. Like, your chicken nuggets were probably a chicken that was alive last year. My first day here, I saw somebody coming in. They jumped off of a motorcycle with 2 bags, and in those bags were chickens, and they were making a beeline for the kitchen. Well, and I don't mean like frozen chickens. I mean live chickens.
Hey. Chickens are food. That's how it is. For those people that don't know, that's just how it works.
Yeah, I mean, everything here is basically locally sourced and fresh, and probably way the heck better. In fact, the way I've been eating since I've here is probably about 3 times as healthy as anything I'll do in the U.S. So I've been enjoying it. It's been a whole different experience, and I still wanted to be able to do the podcast, so we kind of came up with this zany situation where I can't see you and you can't see me. We can hear each other via a voice phone call we're doing, and we're both recording video on either end, and we're just going to squish them together. So,
and hope it all works out.
It's going to be fantastic.
So we have been talking about let's get to that later, because I think if we jump right into that, we won't get off of it.
That's probably true. I know where you're going.
Yeah. So
you
let's
told me
jump
you've got
to the thing that's been on social media a bunch.
I was going to say, you've got a prop next to you, I think is what you told me.
I do. Let me grab it. Okay. So what everyone is seeing now is the new helmet. We've talked about it, the new pumper helmet. Yes. But I want to kind of give a quick rundown for those of you guys that don't follow us on social media and haven't seen it. So it is a impact side air pumper helmet. You can see it there. And what you're seeing on it is a roll-off system that works, but they don't make one that works. So if you go back on social media and check out our stuff, I drilled and cut up the helmet to fit the roll-off system on, and I now have the, you guys can probably see it, except for the shadow or the glares. There is even a mud and wind guard on it right there to keep all the film on. Everything should be all set, and the big dust curtain, the helmet curtain that goes on the bottom of it, and it's all set. So we have a final version. We're going to do some testing with it. I know when you're looking at it, it looks like the clear space where the film would be is going to be kind of tilted or slanted, but it is not. When it's on your head, it actually sits straight across your vision, so it's really good for that. But we wanted to kind of just show that it is possible to do that, and if anybody has any questions on it, definitely get a hold of us. We can help you out with that.
I got to see the finished product before I left, and honestly, I was really impressed with how that all came out. And you've got, what, maybe $50 total in the whole setup?
Yeah, about that, yeah. Well, the helmet skirt thing cost a little bit more.
Okay.
Probably closer to $100 with that. That's just what it is. I mean, that comes straight from Impact. It's the same material. It's SFI rated. It's 2-layer, so it even meets the same code that our fire suits have to meet.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I will be covered head to toe in fire retardant clothing. Hopefully I don't need it.
Well, I know Steve wants us to test out the mud resistance of this, but now that you're telling me it's fire resistant, what I'm hearing is I need to throw mud at you and then get a flamethrower.
Yeah, let's not do that.
No, we need to test it. We need to know.
No, we don't need to test it like that. Let's not.
But seriously, that's some really nice work, and it's kind of funny pretending I'm looking at it right now, but I can see it in my head. At least I got to see it before I left.
Yeah. No, it'll be great. I was watching King of the Hammers, which we'll get to in a little bit, and all the guys, a lot of them are running this exact same helmet, and they don't have anything across there. Now, they're out in the dust, so they don't really need a roll-off system, but we race in the mud a lot, so we have that.
I did see one of the last qualifying runs out there. I think it was one of the UTV sites. I can't remember which one it was. Anyways, but they're sponsoring a vehicle out there, and it was raining at that point, because if you have been watching the King of the Hammers qualifying, you'll know that towards the end it started raining. And yeah, you'd see him, he had the full-faced helmet on. I couldn't tell if it was an Impact or not, but he did not have any kind of roll-off system, and so he had a towel, and every so often he was just wiping his visor with it.
Yeah, which is fine when you're in the open and there's not trees to hit, but it's a real big problem when you're in the woods.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of places where you can't afford to take your hands off the wheel at all. At least, try and fumble around for a towel. Because with the roll-off, worst case scenario, you can yell at your co-driver and say, give it a pull. Like, you can do something to, where you don't have hands free.
Or flip the visor up if you have to. I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is at that point. I have a second visor that is completely stock, and I'm not going to put a roll-off system on that, and I don't know if I'll completely change it out for the dusty conditions, but if there's a course that is absolutely no water, no mud, no creek crossings, nothing like that, I have that option to change out to just a normal flat shield and still use a rag like they do.
Yeah. So, but the big thing is you've given yourself options, and that's the important part, because when you race a bunch of different disciplines, you don't know for sure what you're going to end up in.
Right, and it's all just going to be play by ear until we get there. So.
Yep. Well, that was a fun little project.
Yeah, one of the things that's been flooding social media the last few days is that a company now, they're called Speed Side by Side, has done a conversion to make a double X 4-seater. Now, Doug, have you seen this one yet?
Yes, the XX4.
Yes. So
I wish they would have just called it the XXL.
Nice. They make it in a few different flavors. They make it in a 72-inch wide or a 77-inch wide. And they do make it in forced induction, up to 175 horse, which, I mean, that's okay. That's what, the Razor is. So, or the X3 Max. Both of those. It's in the wheelhouse there with them.
Sure.
The big problem with it for me, did you see the price tag?
$45,000.
Yeah.
As if the double X was not expensive enough to begin with. I mean, you end up with a double X four-seater, and if that's really what you want, that's what you pay. But you could be into an X3, which has similar driving dynamics and seating position. You could be in an X3 Max for a lot less money than that.
I think a fully loaded one is 30.
Yeah.
If I remember right. So for 15,000 less, you could almost buy a whole extra. You could definitely buy a whole extra just 1,000 XP.
Yeah. You could almost buy another XP turbo.
Right,
yeah.
For the price difference.
And I'm curious, I didn't see a spec on this, but do you know how much weight it added when they did that? That's one thing I didn't see and I was curious about.
It was comparable to the others, to the other four-seaters on the market. The weight was, like I said, comparable. Nothing that was like, oh, it's just enormously heavy. So,
okay. So the 175 horse should push it around pretty good.
Oh, it'll do fine. It's not going to win any drag races against the two-seaters out there, but, I mean, it'll climb in the hills that it needs to, everything else. It's shorter than the X3 Max, and I think it's just slightly longer than the Razor four-seater. So, I mean, it falls right in the middle of all of it, except for with price. It's pretty much top.
And I get it. It's a custom conversion. It's not something they're doing at the factory where they already have a design planned and built. I mean, there's a lot of work and labor involved. I'm really curious how much market for this there actually is, since there's much cheaper two-seater options on the market, or four-seater options. And it's not like they're terrible ones either. It's not like it's some junk knockoff, off-brand UTV that makes a four-seater. I mean, you've got the Razor XP Turbo, that's a four-seater. You've got the Can-Am X3 Max. There's really nice options out there already for a ton less money. And I just I'm trying to figure out the market for this other than, I don't want to say publicity stunt because that makes it sound cheap, but it's kind of like a, look, we can do this.
I think the market for it is really the guy who has, money's not an object, we'll say, or at least that amount of money isn't really an object. And
Barry Miller.
And he is absolutely set on having a double X. Like, he's been an Arctic Cat fan for years, and he wants a four-seater. Well, they don't factory offer it right now. So
sure.
It's that kind of guy who would pay the premium to have this just because he wants the Arctic Cat, and money isn't really an object for him. So I think that's their market. That's kind of the slim market, if you ask me.
So the marketing campaign is a fool and his money are soon parted?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because I would think that Arctic Cat will come out with a four-seater double X at some point. I mean, it may be 2 years from now. It may be this next year. But I would think that they will come out with one. And at that point, they're not going to be 45,000, I can tell you that.
No. But I'm going to be bitterly disappointed if they come out with a four-seater before they come out with a factory turbo.
They need to come out with a factory turbo. I really think they would get, I'm not saying they would overtake Polaris or Can-Am in market sales, but I really think that they would have a good, strong sales following at that point.
Well, in another King of the Hammers teaser, I was able to take some time and watch some of the qualifying. I didn't get through all 4 hours of it, or 5 hours almost, but I watched a fair amount of it, and there were some double X's out there, and the suspension on them looks phenomenal. I mean, they are eating up the whoops. They were doing exactly what they were supposed to be doing. You just wish they had more horsepower. I mean, you could see the lack of horsepower.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. If they just had that turbo option straight on them from the factory, I've said it several times, it really, I think, would be a great contender to the X3.
Yeah, I really think so, too. And especially in a race like King of the Hammers where you've got a lot of wide open and you need the horsepower. We've kind of talked that in the woods, maybe it doesn't make as big a difference because you don't get to be on the throttle as much. But, man, in a competition like that, horsepower counts for a lot, and being down 40, 45 horse really hurts.
Yeah, or more, because these turbo cars like the X3s, they're not running stock tunes.
No, so they're up 200 horse. So right there, you're at a 65 horse deficit.
Yeah, that's big.
That's a whole 800 you're missing.
Yeah. So we've talked about King of the Hammers a few times. We've alluded to it anyway. So let's just jump right into King of the Hammers talk.
It's going on now. In fact, we're missing the live race. We've followed part of it so far, and I've been following it out here from Africa, even though I'm 8 hours ahead. So it didn't start for me until like 7 o'clock in the evening here, and I'll probably stay up way too late tonight watching. But such is life. All I've got tomorrow is work. Nothing important.
Right. Work halfway around the world. Whatever.
Exactly. They don't really expect me to work while I'm here, do they?
Nah.
I hope my boss doesn't watch this podcast.
Judging by the numbers, no. So, yeah. Kyle Cheney. Doug, did you get to watch all the qualifying or any of the qualifying?
I watched a fair amount of it. I did see that Cheney was holding on to first there for quite a while, and then Guthrie Jr. actually snuck up on him and took first place by a tenth of a second. So real hard-fought battle. But
yeah.
I did notice that Polaris had a real strong showing out there. I was looking at a lot of machines, and we knew the X3s were going to perform well. The double X's, like I said, were a little bit down on power. You could tell it. But Polaris had a really strong showing. I mean, Guthrie Jr. is driving a Polaris, and he's up there at the tippy top. And there's several other machines out there that were just really tuned up well and really fast. And I got to give them props. They wrung the most out of those machines that they possibly could, and they were performing really, really well.
Yeah. So what actually happened with Cheney was he ran. I don't think he was first, but he was one of the first anyway to run.
Yes.
The qualifying. And he set like a blistering lap time. I mean, in typical Kyle Cheney fashion, he's just fast. And
I think the announcers described him as like bouncing off of everything because he was just on the throttle the whole time.
Yeah, he was. I mean, it looked wild, but all of his cars are just amazing. They're well built.
Well, and if you've ever watched Cheney drive before, if you watch this qualifying lap and then watch his other races, I'm not saying he's an out-of-control driver, but he tends to have a very aggressive style that he looks sometimes like he's on the verge of wiping out, but then he always saves it.
Yeah, it's on the ragged edge all the time.
Yeah.
That's how he's fast.
Yep.
But so then Guthrie was the absolute last to run, and he beat him by just, it was 1 or 2 tenths of a second.
There's 1/10 of a second. In fact, I'm gonna. Yeah. Sorry about my fingers and the camera here, but my webcam's in a weird. Get tarantulas whenever I use the mouse or type.
Yeah. Thanks, Dell.
So the final ones were Cheney's time was 2:21:40, and his was 2:21:18. Yeah. So a couple tenths of a second there.
So. We'll kind of give the middle of the race update. Cheney has had a problem, and we don't know what the problem is because we had to jump off of the live actual reporting, and I just have the tracking up and kind of watching the racers as they move. He is not on the course. It looks like he's heading back to Hammertown, what they call Hammertown. For those of you guys who don't follow King of the Hammers, Hammertown is like the pit and camping area for all of it. And he is heading back, not on course. He's on a side road right now, and
he was sitting still for a very long time, not moving at all. In fact, they start them in pairs, and almost the entire field had gone past him by the time he even started moving again. And he was one of the first 2 cars to start, so he'd been sitting for a very long time.
Now, I will say he is moving at a good clip right now. It shows he's going 48.2 miles an hour, and I saw a little while ago, about 15-20 minutes ago, where he was moving at 54 miles an hour, and this is after he had sat for a long time. Yeah. So he's able to move, but he's definitely going back to the pits to make repairs, I'm sure, on something. Yeah.
This has not been the race he wanted, and we don't really have any information at this point about what has happened.
Right. So, yeah, we don't really have any solid information, but there's other guys out there, but we want to report on Kyle Cheney because it's his first year out there. He's running some of the stuff we've run, and he's basically a local boy. He's just over in Ohio, so we consider that local. Yeah, and he runs some of the series we run, and this is his first big step out into the big stuff like that out west. So
yeah,
neat stuff. Hopefully he gets it sorted out. I think I'm sure he is definitely out of contention to win at this point. But it's neat that he's gotten to go out there and to run it, and it's neat that he held pole position for the longest time. And
it's just got to be super frustrating. I really feel for him because that's, it just stinks that he's out there and to have a start like that, basically right off the start, have some sort of major failure and be out of contention. I know it's gut-wrenching when that happens.
Yeah, we've been there. I mean, you prep and everything else, not for King of the Hammer's been there, but, any race that you just thrash to try and get ready for, and then you go out there and you have a problem right away when you think, okay, I stand a good chance at doing well on this, and you just break. It's like someone's punched you in the gut. It's not fun.
Yeah. Some other notable names that are out there: Jason Weller qualified 5th. Had a really good showing, and he's running YXZ again this year, I believe.
Yeah, but he's not doing so well right now. Just before we jumped on for the podcast, it was reported he had blown a tire and run out of gas. Course. That's
I laughed when I heard that. I'm like, oh, I feel bad for him, but wow. I mean, that's pretty early on to be running out of fuel, so evidently that machine is thirstier than he anticipated it being.
I would say so.
CJ Greaves qualified 6th, and then I believe Johnny Greaves, he's in 9th, so the pair of Greaves there up in the top 10, which is kind of where you'd expect them to be.
Yeah, if you watch their qualifying, those guys were both chucking those machines into the corners and bicycling it on 2 wheels.
Yeah.
They were pushing those things all they had. So
Yes, they are. Well, these are 2 guys that are used to racing Pro 4 trucks, which are much more powerful, much faster, and so
much wider and more stable too.
Exactly. And so I think part of it is they both say that they love their UTVs and would never give them up, but I think there is that sense of you're not going as fast as you want to be, so you're braking as late as possible, and you're just trying to wring every last mile per hour out of that machine. So it kind of showed in the qualifying laps. They were trying to get all they could out of them, but resulted in like I said, CJ was up in 6th, and then Johnny was up in 9th, so not bad for either of them. And then Mitch Guthrie Sr. Still managed to put together a 12th place qualifier, so he's definitely up there in contention as well. And I haven't seen recent update of where he is in the field, but I expect he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's hard to track people. I mean, I could tell you, but you literally have to hover over a number to try and find, and that's if they're out on the course. And
And for those of you who haven't really been following King of the Hammers in years past, UTVs have come on strong in the past couple of years, to the point that UTVs are by far the largest class now out there. So it is very hard to track, because if you get one of these tracking apps where you can see everybody's times and where their position is, when you're zoomed out to where you can see the entire track, it's just a mash of numbers. You can't see anything.
Well, it does look like Jason Weller is moving again. He's at 28 miles an hour, so
somebody found that man a gas can.
Yes, they did. So, no, King of the Hammers, it's kind of one of those ultimate endurance races. I mean,
for sure.
If you guys have ever seen, if you want to watch some good video, go YouTube and look up The Back Door for King of the Hammers. That's the one where we were talking about last week, where the drop is taller than the machines are. So you actually have to kind of drive off of it pretty slow, because it's really rocky there, and as the front end is coming down, you would flip, except for you just get on the power right away and let the front end drive out from underneath the back end.
If you're smart, that's how you do it, yes.
Yeah. Last year a guy flipped over there and people were just using him as a giant ramp to get down then.
And if you don't want to watch racing, there are plenty of hilarious videos of just people out there trail riding and just dumping it over that.
Yeah.
So
that's always fun and interesting.
But yeah, I did find it very interesting that UTVs have become such a huge part of King of the Hammers in such a short amount of time. I mean, I know that I know why, and I get the allure, but part of it is these drivers want to get more seat time. Pardon me. And that's a really inexpensive way to do it. Now, I know you're thinking, okay, a King of the Hammers prepped UTV is not cheap, and it's not. But compared to a fully race prepped trophy truck, yeah, it's basically a bargain basement price to get in there and get seat time. So it really works for a lot of these racers to have a chance to do that. And it gives other people opportunity that would never been able to ride it before, because most people can't afford a trophy truck. But maybe you can scrape together enough money to build a UTV that'll run it. Or prime example, Corey Weller had a post on her page, I think a day or two ago, saying that if you want to get into King of the Hammers and you wanted a already race proven rig, they were selling their last year's rig for $35,000, fully prepped, ready to go, cleaned up. Everything had been gone through. Anything that was broken had been replaced, and it was a race proven rig. $35,000 done.
That's actually not bad.
No,
I mean, for the amount of parts, I bet they have at least $35,000 in extra parts on it.
Oh yeah, easily. So if you look around for stuff like that, affordable being a relative term. It's it's an affordable way to get into King of the Hammers if you want to go race it. There are ways to do it. Yeah. And there's really no other experience quite like it.
Right. So it looks fun. We're talking about maybe trying to make it out there next year, so that'd be fun.
The talk's getting pretty serious. I know Steve Mueller's already talking about loading up with his toy hauler and heading out that way. And I've got the big Winnebago we told everybody about last podcast, and I'm fully ready to road trip that bad boy out there.
Which henceforth we need to just reference it as the Windy Bagel.
The Windy Bagel. In fact, I need graphics that say Windy Bagel, and I will put them on there.
Yes, we do. So yeah, we won't have all the answers for what's going on with King of the Hammers during this show. We'll have to just kind of wrap it up next week.
I'm kind of browsing the Facebook page right now, and I see the live stuff happening, and I see people driving around on the live feed, and I'm like, I just want to watch. I'm like, oh yeah, I still have the show to finish up.
The wife is putting up groceries in the refrigerator right now.
I can't get used to this time shift, because for you it's only 2:20 in the afternoon right now. For me it's 10:20 at night. So I'm like, why is your wife going to the grocery store?
Why is she going to the grocery store so late?
But no, it's a really, really cool event. We'll definitely wrap up next week and get you some more coverage on that. But we wanted to let you know what was happening so far, and I'm really excited to see who comes out on top. Mitch Guthrie Jr. finished first last year, so this is actually a title defense for him. So he probably feels a little bit of pressure there. There's definitely some stuff riding on his shoulders. Yeah.
Last I heard, he was not overall leader right now, so he was having some problems too. So
yeah, no, it's definitely a marathon too. So it's interesting to see, just because somebody got ahead of you, maybe you got slowed up because you got a mechanical problem, you're not running at top speed, but you know what? They're one bad line choice away from hitting a rock and being out.
Yep, that's very true. It can take you out right away.
So you've got the other thing that's been burning up social media, at least on the local level, that I see here on our list of things is forced to display series logo or no payout? ?
Yeah.
I think I know where you stand on this.
I think everyone who has seen any of my posts know exactly where I stand on this, so I'll let you go first and talk about this one.
So, now correct me if I'm wrong, was this a GNCC rule originally?
GNCC does have that rule, although it obviously doesn't apply to side-by-sides anymore since there is no more GNCC side-by-side racing. IXCR has that rule in their books. It's only on the books for quads and dirt bikes, and since I don't run quads or dirt bikes, I can only go by what others who do have told me. They said it's not enforced. It's not like so maybe we should explain the whole rule.
Yeah.
So
I just want to double check. The rule is that you have to have a logo from the series that you are running. In this case, almost all the series locally have this sort of rule on the books. It has to be the series logo for the current year, and it has to be conspicuously displayed. So you can't put it like underneath your skid plate or something. It has to be on the
inside my tires.
Yes, I put it in the gas tank. No, it actually has to be on the front of the UTV in a very easy to see place. And what the rule actually states is that if you don't have that logo clearly displayed, they will not give you a payout for the race.
That is correct. Now, this also does only apply to the pro row.
Correct.
This is not the lesser, the other rows, just
the
pro row.
A lot of the other rows don't pay. Pardon me. A lot of the other rows don't pay out anyways. But yeah, this is just the pro row.
Right. So that's the rule. If you guys leave in the comments what you guys think of the rule, you'll hear Doug and I's opinions on it either way here in just a minute. But definitely let us know what you think of it. But Doug, go ahead and tell us your thoughts on it first.
I'm not a big fan of the rule for this particular reason. To put together a race buggy that you put your heart and soul into and go out there and race and be on the podium, that's the advertisement for the series. They get to record video, they get to have pictures, they get to put it out on social media that so-and-so got first place, and here they are on our podium, here they are talking to our announcer. That's where they get all their advertising from. To say that you get to put a sticker on my $50,000 race prep buggy or you're going to withhold all of my winnings, I think is absolutely insane.
Yeah. So I am opposed to it as well. Like we were talking about, if you've seen any of my social media posts on it, you would see that very quickly. So for the same reason, I agree with what Doug's saying. The guys that tend to be, and I'll go over my other main reason here in a moment, but the guys that tend to be okay with it, and no one is actually pro that, they're just saying that it's okay. The guys that are okay with it are normally like the dirt bike and quad guys. I don't think any of the side-by-side guys are really happy about it. So, agreed with what Doug's saying. My thing, to add to what Doug was saying about how, they're advertising for free and they're forcing advertising, is they are literally blackmailing the person to say, if you don't have it, we're keeping your money. And at that point, the driver has earned their money because they paid their entry fee, they raced their race, they won, and at that point, they are blackmailing and keeping their money. I think that is 100% wrong. The other thing, and Barry Miller made a joking, not joking comment about it. Well, if I have to run yours and I'm paying you to run, then you have to run my logo on all of your equipment. I mean, it's kind of comical to think of it like that, but it's really the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Steve Mueller brought up a very good point on this when I was talking to him about it. There are the logo on the side of his machine when he was running the Polaris Razor one last year, which you guys haven't seen his wrap yet, but then again, neither have I, but he's the Polaris Razor one won't be making a prominent position. Anyway, that price that they gave him to run that logo was worth more than the dirt bike, the whole dirt bike that the guy is running in the pro row of bikes. The price difference, the variance between the investment of the side-by-side versus the investment of like the dirt bike guys, and I'm not just trying to down them, the investment is massively different. And I was trying to explain this to someone and saying that if I have a sponsor and each square inch then of my machine as advertisement is worth X amount of dollars, let's say, if you're a high-end guy, each square inch of your machine is worth $500 or something like that worth of advertising space. Well, if I'm giving away space on my machine for advertising for this series just because I want to run it, because they won't pay me if I don't, then I am devaluing what my actual sponsors who do give me parts or money, I'm devaluing what I think they're worth or what, their perceived value is to me. I have a big problem with that because to me, when I say I'm going to have a sponsor on a machine or even for this podcast, it's someone who we come to a pretty clear agreement that, this is what we're going to do for you. We're not going to advertise another company that does the same thing for you that you do, because that would be wrong. That would be unethical. I can't say that, I can't say Spang's Fabs makes the best lower radius rods and also say that Company X makes the best radius rods, in my opinion. They can't both make the best. I have to pick one.
Right.
Now you can come to an agreement and say that they both make good ones. I'm not saying they don't. There's not other companies that don't make good ones, but why should I give away what I was charging others for just so that I can pay to run their series and get my money if I win? It's just wrong. It is 100% wrong, in my opinion.
I agree with you. And one other thought that had come to my mind was, if you're forcing somebody to do this, it says something about your series, or at least your perception of the series. Because to me, if you're running a good series and people are happy with the way you're doing it, they're happy with the payouts and everything else, they'll advertise for you. They will be telling people about your series. They will voluntarily run a sticker on their machine, or they'll do whatever they need to do.
Right.
If as soon as you make that a requirement that you have to, you've instantly made it a sore spot for them. Your goal as a series is to promote your series and make racers want to come back. Now you've done the exact opposite.
Right. I completely agree, and I made the suggestion on this series, and I'll just say who it is. It's Crossroads. They have made this a requirement. But I made the suggestion. I said, make it a contingency thing, where if you win without the sticker, we'll say their payout is $500. I don't remember what their payout is. It is more than that. But let's just say if you win and you don't run their sticker, it's $500 payout for Pro Row first place. But if you win and you do have their sticker, the payout's $700 or $600 or whatever they set that value at. Make it a contingency where you have incentive to run it, but it's your choice and you still make payout going into it. Them saying we are not paying you at all because you're not running our sticker, that's where it's a big problem for me.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I completely agree, and I like your solution. The base payout doesn't change. You just get a little extra if you want to run it, and that's, like you said, at that point, that's your call. It's just like if you want the GBC contingency, you have to run GBC tires. If you want to run Maxxis because you don't care, then you run Maxxis. It's the same thing.
Right. Or, I mean, like MWXC, I know that they have done Team MWXC, and they do it in a different way where it helps the racers with the registration fees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would be fine. If you want to run a Crossroads sticker and, you're a quote-unquote Crossroads team racer, at that point, it pays out, or you pay in a smaller amount, fine. I mean, it gives you a discount. It gives you an incentive to run their sticker. But it's your choice if you want to do that. They're not doing it that way. It is blackmail right now.
Well, and the reason I asked my initial question about GNCC, I was 90% sure that was a rule requirement of theirs, is because a lot of the local series have copied the rule book from GNCC. They've made some modifications, but that was the basis of their rule book. But MWXC never enforced it if they had it on the books, and I don't even think that they did.
They do not. No.
IXCR doesn't have it on the books for UTVs, and again, they haven't enforced it because it's not there. Extreme XC was talking about having the same rule on there, and after some discussion with them, they pulled the rule. They agreed, you know what, it's not worth the headache. We're not going to do it either. So Crossroads is kind of standing alone, willing to die on this hill, and I'm not entirely sure why, because everyone else has backed away from it.
Right. So I made the statement, and I will fully admit right now that I have not raced Crossroads, and at this point I plan to not. But I made the statement to them, why do something that alienates your potential racers that you could bring in when it adds no benefit to them if they do it?
Yeah.
Other than having the openness to run that one more series. It's like I said, they're standing on a fight that they don't really have any incentive to. If they lose big. If they win, they just kind of keep what they have and they don't gain anything. The potential is that the racers will go away from this, and there's zero chance that it will draw anyone to the series. That's kind of my thing.
There's so many racing series. We've talked about this probably to the point that viewers are sick of hearing it. There's so many racing options in central Indiana right now. There is zero reason that you have to race Crossroads. There's none.
Right. There's MWXC, there's IXCR, there's Extreme, there's
AXCC. I mean, there's all sorts of.
Yeah.
There's all places that you can run that you don't have to be tied to. Well, this is the only series. I guess I have to suck it up and do what they say. So, it really seems like an odd hill to want to die on, but
yeah,
that's their call.
And my thing is, the owners of the series have not said one thing. They haven't jumped on there and said, here's the reason we wanted to do it. This is, how it's going to be, and this is our rules. They have stayed dead silent after multiple people have messaged them and everything else. They won't say a word about it. And really, I think that is the complete and total wrong way to handle this situation.
Yeah,
because what's happening is the people that do run that, or not run the series, but the people that do race in the series, let me clarify that a little bit. The people that do race in the series, they're getting flat nasty. They're being just flat mean and nasty to me. One lady was like, you don't even show that you've ever even raced in this series, so why do we even care what you say? Okay, so how is that an incentive for me to want to come race with you?
Yeah, and
I mean,
and I'm not saying that we are hugely popular and we have a ton of pull, but we talk to literally every other UTV racer in the area, and all the UTV racers in this area talk to each other. If you start getting crappy, everybody's going to know about it.
Right.
It's just the way, and it's not meant as a threat. It's just a fact. If you start talking, everyone will know. It's a close-knit community. Everybody talks about what's going on. There's no way something like that stays a secret, and there's no way it looks good for you.
No, it's just all around bad right now, and I don't think they're doing the right thing. I don't even care if they don't want to change it. I'm not forced to run their series. It's their rules. It's their series. If that's how they want it, it's my choice to say, okay, I accept your rules and I'll run your series, or I won't. But what I'm most frustrated about with it, I guess, and I still don't agree with it, but is that the owners have just said nothing. They're just not going to respond. Like, that's a okay thing to do. It's really not.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to approach that problem, and I'm going to kind of segue from that into it's that time of year, new to racing, what to expect on the list. So one thing you can expect is you better learn the rules, because there are some gotchas in there. If you haven't read them, sorry Chad, I didn't mean to step on you, but if you haven't read the rule book, you really need to read the rule book.
And the rules do vary from series to series. There are going to start being some tech inspections at some series this year in Indiana, and I can tell you AXCC is going to do tech inspection. I know that. So it's one of those things that you better know your rules, because if you get there and you didn't have the exact way that they wanted it done in the rules, you just probably won't be racing. So.
Or your excuse that, well, I didn't have a fire extinguisher last year. Well, that was last year. If they are forcing the rules or they've changed the rules, you've got to do it that way this year.
Yeah, I think tech inspection's a good thing in the UTV racing world. It's a 30-second to 60-second check per machine, and basically it makes sure that everyone is abiding by the same rules.
And a lot of it is designed to keep everyone safe, because it's not just you. If you don't have a fire extinguisher and you run into somebody and they catch on fire, I mean, your fire extinguisher may be the thing that puts out their fire. The rules are designed to keep everybody on the track safe.
And that was, I hate to go back to the Crossroads thing again, but I'm going to, because this was one of my main arguments with them. I gotta say it. Rules are there, and I don't hate rules. Rules are there to keep people safe and to keep the racing fair. That the Crossroads rule of having to run their sticker does neither. It is only a self-serving rule.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But anyway, back to like legitimate good rules. Know your rules. It is good to go there. If we talk about the amount of tools that I bring to a race, especially your first few races, bring some tools with you, because if there's a problem, there may be another UTV racer is like, oh yeah, I've got a spare whatever you need to get racing because you failed tech. Here you can use it, put it on. So bring stuff to work on it if you got to be able
to put it on, yeah.
Right. And get there early, and and this sounds like common sense stuff, but common sense isn't so common anymore, so.
And sometimes in all the excitement, you forget obvious things. So make yourself a good checklist as you think of things. Write it down on paper and make sure that checklist is complete before you go. And I would say one of the things you can expect is to find a very helpful, very committed racing community, especially in the UTV community. So ask a lot of questions. If you're unsure about something, don't just not say anything. You're better off to ask a question and get an answer from somebody that knows what they're talking about, that's done it before, because they want you to be able to compete. They want to see you go out there and have a good time doing it. Nobody's going to give you bad information to try and win a race or do something like that. They're going to give you the facts of how it is, and they're going to tell you exactly what you need to know. And the only idiot out there is you if you don't ask a question.
So, kind of to tie into that, I saw a guy who he was up in Canada and he was trail riding, and this trail riding place he was at was having UTV races that day. This guy knows how to drive, so he was okay. And he showed up there, and he wasn't planning on racing. He was just planning on trail riding. Well, his friends were racing and everything else. So to meet the requirements, the only thing he didn't have was window nets. So there happened to be one of those, have you seen those orange safety snow netting things?
The snow fence, yeah.
Yep. They took a Stanley knife and cut a section of it with the place's permission, and he just zip tied it on his doors and on his cage, and he met tech requirement then, and he was able to race. But that's one of those things, if you get there early and you just, you talk to people and, you talk to the race series owner, okay, is this okay if we do this? Will I meet tech? And if they're like, yeah, then okay, you get to race.
I like the ingenuity there, and that's a very good point. You're better off to get there early, ask questions, and just make sure everything is kosher. Don't assume that you have everything 100% correct, because you won't. Some of the stuff you only find out by going there. And honestly, just racing's fun to be around anyways, so show up for the dirt bikes or the quads that are running earlier, because some of the same rules that apply to them are going to apply to you, and you'll have a chance to observe how the race functions in action. What time you need to be there to line up, and how things are lined up, and what the announcer sounds like, how he's going to call and dismiss the rows. You'll have some background information on all that before you even have to line up then.
It's also always good to see how the flagger throws.
Yes.
There's been more than one hole shot won because someone studies and counts the flagger, because flaggers tend to, if they don't pay attention, they will throw, they call 10 seconds, and the rule is the flag can throw pretty much anywhere between 3 and 10 seconds. So if the flagger's not paying attention, there's several flaggers that I know that they will always throw on 4 seconds. Always. And I can count on that.
They get into a rut, they get into a routine, and like you said, they're not thinking about it. They're not thinking a random count, which is what it should be.
Right.
So, but you know what? If you can catch that, then that's an advantage for you. It's not illegal. It's just being smart. If you watch the flagger go, man, he always throws on 4, prepare to jump.
Yep. So we are getting to that magical time, Doug, for your trivia.
I was just going to say, it's trivia time.
It is trivia time. So, are you ready, sir, for your trivia?
I am indeed.
Okay. Question number 1. A Dutch bicycle company put a picture of what on their shipping boxes, and for what reason? It is not a bicycle. I mean, they have a bicycle on there, but they put a picture of something different on their packaging.
A walrus, and I don't know why.
No, they put a picture of a TV on there, and it was to trick the shipping companies into treating their packages with more care because they were arriving with damaged components.
That's awesome. That's a good idea, though. They put
a picture of a TV on there because the bike frame and the TV are generally the same size and shape when they're broken down. So they put a picture of a TV on there, and like a bicycle is on the TV then, and it makes it look like, oh, it's a TV. We better handle this with extra care.
That's an awesome idea. I love it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. All right, question number 2. What city has been destroyed in movies more than any other city?
Now I'm trying to think through movies. Like, I'm gonna go Washington D.C.
Nope, New York.
Yeah, I could see that.
Worldwide, New York has been destroyed more than any other city.
The first thought that popped in my head was Independence Day, where they blew up the Capitol, but it's had its share of that. But yeah, you think about New York City, there has been a lot. In fact, one of them we were joking about recently was The Day After Tomorrow, the one where the polar vortex, froze everything instantly.
Yeah.
Because the cover is the Statue of Liberty, like just the arm sticking up through the ice.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's a prime example.
Yep. All right, question number 3. What was special about the Wyoming State Penitentiary All-Stars baseball team of 1911?
I don't know. They were all African American?
Nope. It was made up completely of death row inmates whose executions were delayed as long as they kept winning. They had a 4-game winning streak.
That's awesome and terrible.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. That's something.
Yep. All right. Question number 4. Why are hippos able to sleep underwater?
I think it's because they're like naturally buoyant. Like they basically the way their snouts are designed, they can keep their nose above the water even if they're not moving.
No, they actually will sleep completely underwater.
Oh. They have like a 2-hour lung capacity? I don't know.
No, actually what it is they have a natural reflex that makes them surface, take a breath, and sink again without waking up.
That's a heck of a reflex.
Yes,
that's not like touching a hot stove and moving your hand. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
My wife's yelling at the cats for jumping on stuff in the kitchen. I can hear. I don't know what they're on, but
what are your cats on?
I don't know. All right, question number 5. Disney, the theme park, created their own color of green to blend in with grass and bushes and concrete. What is that color called?
Grass green?
No, it's called Go Away Green.
Go away?
Go away. As what? In not like people go away, but it makes whatever it's painted on looks like it goes away.
Ah, okay. I can see that. They use a bunch of visual trickery like that. Like the I don't know what it's called, the Sleeping Beauty castle. Yeah. They use forced perspective to make it look like it's taller than it is. Like the upper stories are progressively shorter. Yeah. And they do all this trickery to do forced perspective so it looks like it's, I don't know, 70 feet tall and it's really only like 25.
Yeah. Well, it's taller than 25, but it's not as tall as it looks. But yes, they do. They're good at that, at the trickery bits.
So basically everything at Disney is a lie. I hate to spoil it for all you kids.
Yeah. All right, question number 6. Which U.S. state is home to a city called Truth or Consequences? That is the name of the city.
New Mexico.
You are correct. Have you been there?
I've been by it, but not to it.
Huh.
We wanted to stop in, but we were kind of on a schedule and we didn't have time to actually stop in the town and wander around, unfortunately.
I thought you might have been out that way, so yeah.
Yep.
All right. Question number 7. What is the name of the pilot who first broke the sound barrier in 1947?
Chuck Yeager.
You are correct. I figured you'd probably get that one.
Especially since you've asked me before, but I knew it anyways.
Did I really? Has that one been in here?
It was one of the episodes we did with Steve.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I remember Steve was on the show, so...
Yeah, because didn't he say Neil Armstrong, now that you say that?
Yeah, something like that. So if you go back through the Steve episodes, you will find that question, but I knew it then too, so...
Well, that was my mistake, so you get it.
Sweet.
All right.
I've been really upset if I'd gotten it wrong.
Question number 8. In the TV show Knight Rider, what does KITT stand for? And KITT is K-I-T-T.
I know the K is for night. It's... Night integrated something. I don't know. All I know is the K is for night, like Night Industries.
Nah, I'm not going to give you that one. It's Night Industries 2000. Is what it stands for.
The TT stands for 2000? That's really... K
is night.
Yeah.
I is industries. The first T is 2. The second T is 1000.
That's why I said the TT is 2000. That is super lame. Are you serious?
Dude, this was the 80s.
That is so much worse than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was Night Industries or something like that, but I had no idea what the TT was.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Wow.
Question number 9. What popular soft drink claims to contain 23 flavors?
Dr. Pepper.
You are correct. That's very good.
I don't even drink Dr. Pepper.
I don't either. I don't drink pop really at all.
I know you don't. It's your one failing.
Yeah. All right, question number 10, last one. How many regular-sized dots are in each Pac-Man level?
Don't know, so wild guess 168.
Nope, 240.
Okay. I had never heard that one before. Like, I figured somebody knew, but I never really thought to look it up.
240 regular-sized dots and 4 large dots, which give you the ability to eat ghosts.
Nice.
So.
And I guess if you actually can get to a point, I think if you exit level 99 or something, it breaks the game.
Oh, really?
There's only been a couple people that have been able to do it without cheating, but it breaks the game. Like, the screen goes wonky, and it's still playable, but, like, things are missing, and it just completely screws the game up. Like, that's the end of the game is you break it.
Okay.
So, this has been a different kind of podcast experience.
It for sure has been.
Actually, it's worked out really well. I was a little skeptical because of the way we had to hobble this together, but actually I think it came out pretty good.
Yeah, I think it'll work okay.
And for being, I want to say we're about 8,000 miles apart.
Roughly,
maybe a little, maybe a little more than that. There's like surprisingly little delay. I guess I'm remembering back to talking to my dad when he had business trips like from the 80s and 90s, and you could talk and then wait like 5 seconds for the other person to talk back to you.
Phone call completely cuts out.
Don't do that. That's not funny. I may have actually just legitimately lost Chad.
You still there?
Hey,
there you are. You're back.
I was literally just making a comment about how when my dad used to do business trips back in the old landline days, you could talk to somebody and then wait like 5 seconds for them to respond. And as soon as I said that, you didn't say anything, and I was like, haha, don't do that.
No, it really happened because you went away there for a little bit.
The fact that I'm using African level internet and we've maintained a call for basically an hour, is a testament to the fact that's the reason I'm here. Is most people that have no idea how up and coming Africa is in terms of technology, and they are really doing a lot to push their city centers forward and push technology out. And they've made drastic improvements in the past 10 years. Like 5 years ago, what we're doing right now would not have even been possible realistically.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I'm here, is to help them set things up and tune and tweak for educational and science research. So,
yep, good stuff.
Well, we do want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. Of course, our title sponsor, CW Motorsports, who has just been fantastic to work with this year. And if you need a new machine, a used machine, if you need a razor part of any sort, whether it's new or used, if you need Bel-Ray oils or accessories, helmets, gloves, anything like that, you definitely need to look them up. As always, you can find them on our personal webpage, or you can also find them in the show notes underneath the YouTube version. Also want to say a big shout out to Watch Communications for hosting the podcast and the website. The code is still valid, waste of time, all lowercase with no spaces, if you want 1 month of free hosting from them. Also, if you live in rural Indiana or Ohio, they can probably set you up with internet access if you don't have any other good options. And trust me, it is way better than satellite. We've also got Spanx Fab, who's hooked us up with some awesome parts for Chad's Razor, but more than that, they have built a lot of full race cages for many of the racers we know, and the work that Kevin does is just second to none. So Spanx Fab, we appreciate having you on board. And of course, TGM Off-Road, again, just a great group of guys and gals that love riding, love UTVs, and don't cause a lot of drama, and you really can't ask for more than that out of a UTV group. You can find us on the web at eminentperformance.com. You can find us on Facebook /Eminent Racing, on Instagram at Eminent Racing, and you can find the video version of the show on YouTube. You can also find the audio version on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio.
Yep.
And as As Chad always likes to remind, you can click the subscribe button so that you know when we've got stuff coming up, and you can also click the little bell button next to the subscribe button. That will let you know, it'll send you an alert when we have a new video posted, whether it's one of our web shows here or some other funny oddball thing we've done.
I forgot. That was my part. I didn't do it.
That's okay, man. I'm here to catch you when you fall.
Yay.
And no matter which part of the show you've forgotten today, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
Tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.